Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Donovan. I'm a PhD student at Munster Technological University, and today I'll be discussing our paper, A Multimodal Workflow for Modelling Personality and Emotions to Enable User Profiling and Personalization. This is work I co-authored with my PhD supervisors and colleagues, Dr. Anya Di Rosta, Dr. Aoife Johnson, and Dr. Rory O'Reilly, and it was presented at the 5th Annual Conference on Human-Computer Interaction Theory and Applications on February 9th, 2021. There's a number of driving research questions behind our paper and research approach. The first being, what is the affective nature of our personality? So the affective core of our personality has only begun to be mapped out. There's a growing awareness that emotions and personality are highly interlinked, and that emotions are the prime movers of our personality. However, the exact nature of this relationship is as of yet unclear, and this is where we feel we can offer a substantial research contribution. We'll also investigate the potential for effective computing methodologies to map the relationship between personality and emotions automatically and at scale to enable sophisticated and data-rich modeling approaches. Effective computing is a study of how technology can be utilized to automatically detect, categorize, and display human emotions. We're also interested in the value of effective computing for providing multimodal analysis of the relationship between personality and emotions. Such multimodal analysis offered by AC include, but is not limited to, the modalities of emotive facial expression analysis, semantic analysis, and affective prosody. In terms of emotion and personality themselves, emotion and personality are valuable constructs that provide information on states and traits respectively. Emotions guide our daily decision making and our perception, whereas personality is a valid and accurate predictor of key life outcomes. Prior research has established that there is a quantifiable and bidirectional link between personality and emotions. It is bidirectional in that knowledge of one enables inferences on the other. So knowledge about emotions enable inferences about a user or a group of users' personality traits, which we refer to as state-to-trait mappings. Additionally, information on personality traits enable inferences about likely emotional experiences, which we refer to as state-to-trait mappings. We believe that the interaction between personality and emotions and effective computing methodology can enable scalable state-to-trait inferences that can be conducted across multiple modalities to enable a high-resolution and rich database approach for modeling the relationship between personality and emotions. In terms of our overall research, we argue there's a need for a reproducible process for generating state-to-trait mappings at scale. Our goal was to generate an end-to-end multimodal workflow for the robust modeling of personality and emotions using automatic effective computing methodology. This resulted in the Personality Emotion Mapping Workflow, otherwise known as PEM. This workflow is envisioned as a tool to generate state-to-trait inferences at scale that can be then utilized to produce industry solutions and or answer research questions. In terms of the personal emotion mapping workflow, the PEM workflow is depicted here. The workflow consists of 5 stages: participant pool recruitment, data collection, feature extraction, data analysis, and results. And the results, and it would a live instance personality to emotion model. The workflow provides the key components for both personality and emotions that have been empirically validated. The workflow is automated in that appropriate AC methodologies for extraction and categorizing emotive states is built into the workflow, enabling researchers to upload their data for analysis. The workflow is currently being implemented through a Firebase application that will be made open source for other researchers to utilize. In terms of stage 1 is participant recruitment. This stage involves identifying a represented group for participant recruitment to enable data collection, feature extraction, and the other stages of the PEM workflow. In terms of data collection, PEM lists 2 domains for data collection, the first being personality traits and the second being the basic emotions. In terms of personality traits are typical expressions of affect, behavior, cognition, and motivation across time. The predominant model of personality traits is the 5-factor model, which argues that there is 5 broad factors of personality, openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, which are aggregates of a representative and exhaustive body of personality traits. The PEM workflow utilizes the Big Five ASCII scale, which is a questionnaire-based measure of personality traits, and the five-factor model. The Big Five ASCII scale breaks down each of the 5 factors into 2 further subtraits, which are indicated by the pink nodes. These subtraits have been argued to enable a higher resolution level of analysis of the relationship between personality traits and other important variables, such as the basic emotions. In terms of the second domain for data collection, basic emotions, the basic emotions are a set of emotions that are distinct and reliably displayed through psychological, behavioral, and neurophysiological signals. The 6 canonical basic emotions are anger, disgust, fear, joy, sadness, and surprise. There are 2 types of data collection for this domain. Either direct, so a self-report questionnaire on the basic emotions, asking participants to assess on a scale, for example, on a Likert scale, how much of each basic emotion they experience. Or indirectly through the use of video caption, written or transcribed text, or audio recording. If any of these indirect types of data collection for basic emotions are utilized, then the third stage of the PEM workflow, feature extraction, is required. So as I mentioned, stage 3 of the PEM workflow is feature extraction. This involves the utilization of open source effective computing methodologies and software to analyze video caption via emotive facial expression analysis, written or transcribed text through semantic analysis, or audio recordings through affective prosody. So in terms of emotive facial expression analysis, emotive facial expression analysis involves the identification of muscle movements on a person's face that indicate one of the basic emotions. The process is a frame-by-frame analysis through the use of existing taxonomies such as facial coding unit system, or in this case, in the example here, facial landmark points to enable standardized analysis. Previous studies that have utilized the PEM workflow utilize the emotion viewer software developed by colleagues of ours at Munster Technological University that automates the process of features related to the 6 basic emotions. However, it should be stressed PEM is not software specific. In a future large-scale PEM study, we'll be assessing the effectiveness of different types of open source software for feature extraction and comparing their effectiveness. And this will also be done for semantic analysis and affective prosody. So in terms of semantic analysis involves extracting relevant features of language that indicate meaning, or in this case, basic emotions. This can be content words, which can be direct, such as I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling sad. It can be also the utilization of context and syntax to judge ambiguous cases. For example, in the middle here, there is a mapping of I am sick that was disgraceful to a negative emotion. So in the first case, I am sick could either be descriptive, the person could just be describing that they're physically unwell, or it could indicate a negative emotional experience, such as anger, to discuss with anger, or sick with anger, or with disgust, so sick with disgust or repulsed by something. But you can also utilize content words direct, such as I am happy or shocking, to indicate basic emotional experience. In terms of affective prosody analysis, this involves the identification and extraction of features of nonverbal communication that reliably indicate emotional experiences. These features include voice, pitch, loudness, timbre, rate, number of pauses utilized. The figure here depicts a simple example of how this, for example, with pitch, where different levels of pitch will be utilized to map between 2 emotional experiences. For example, higher pitches could be indicated of a certain emotional experience, whereas lower pitch rates were indicated of another emotional experience. However, this is combined with the other features to make a more accurate assessment. So for effective prosody analysis, PEM is currently using the Ordinary open source software. However, again, as mentioned before, we will be comparing the results of multiple open source software per modality to assess which is more effective for personality to emotion modeling. So stage 4 is data analysis, and in this stage of the PEM workflow, the results from the basic emotion questionnaire, the Big Five Axis scale, and the feature extraction from the respective modalities are combined, and in descriptive and inferential statistical analysis are conducted. This is a 3-step process. In step 1, descriptive statistics and normalization is conducted. Descriptive statistics enables us to assess the properties of the data, whereas normalization enables us to compare the results from different modalities on the same scale. So for example, in a previous research study, we collected data on self-reported basic emotions and emotive facial expression analysis. The self-reported basic emotions were on a Lightser scale from 1 to 5, whereas the emotive facial expression analysis ranged in the hundreds. So to enable valid comparison, we conduct normalization. Step 2 of the data analysis process involves inferential statistical analysis. For example, we have utilized in the past Pearson-R correlation, and this is the approach currently favored by the PEM workflow, and this generates a personality to emotion mapping model. And then finally, a third step to the process which we are aiming to add to the PEM workflow is the utilization and comparison of linear and nonlinear regression in personality emotion modeling. A paper we have authored on this topic is currently being peer reviewed and is available on ResearchGate at the following link. In terms of a broad overview of this paper, the work compares a multilinear regression model with a generalized additive model using Pearson-R and mutual information analysis as mechanisms for input selection for the models, and then it compares whether a linear or nonlinear model performs better in modeling the relationship between personality and emotions. The final stage of the PEM workflow is the results, which results in a live instance modeling result. The results are illustrated in our personality emotion mapping dashboard, shown here. And the personality traits are indicated on the first column, and the basic emotions on the first row. The dashboard illustrates the relationship between each personality trait and a basic emotion via its direction, effect size, and statistical significance. Direction is indicated by color. Red indicates a negative relationship and green a positive relationship. The magnitude of that correlation is indicated by the shade of the color. Darker shades indicate a stronger relationship, and also the Pearson-R effect size included in each cell. Now the effect size and for this this analytical dashboard was generated randomly and is not based on empirical results. It's just for demonstration purposes. Finally, any statistically significant results with a p-value of less than 0.05 are indicated with a star. So for example, the relationship between openness to experience and anger in the randomly generated results was a negative relationship, a strong negative relationship, and was statistically significant. And the relationship between disgust and interest was a strong positive relationship, near perfect, and for the purposes of this was statistically significant. A respective dashboard is outputted per emotion modality to enable comparison across self-report, semantic analysis, emotive facial expression analysis, and affective personality analysis. There are a number of current, previous and current live use cases with the PEM workflow. Last year we published a study with a participant pool of 38 participants where participants, in terms of data collection, answered a Big Five Axis scale, watched 12 emotionally provocative film clips, and then after each film clip answered a basic emotion questionnaire. There was no effective computing methodologies utilized in this research study, as it was just assessing the relationship between personality and emotions on a self-report level only. Inferential statistical analysis involved Pearson-R correlation, and this resulted in a quantifiable link between personality and emotions on the self-report level. Another study we published last year, which utilized a subsample from this participant pool, had data collection for basic emotion questionnaire, Big Five Axis scale, but also video recording utilizing the same procedure. So in this case, feature extraction was conducted in terms of emotive facial expression analysis. Inferential statistical analysis involved Pearson-R to generate a state trait mappings for self-reported basic emotions and automatically classified basic emotions with self-reported personality traits. And the results showed that for 11 of the 15 personality traits, there existed more consistency than inconsistency in personality and emotion mappings across between the two respective modalities. A third study involved is a goal-setting study, which assesses the effectiveness of goal setting in terms of improving academic performance in relation to individual differences in personality and cognition. We currently have a participant pool of 51 participants. However, this study is currently ongoing and we're hoping to collect more. Data collection consists of Big 5 ASCII scale, cognitive states and cognitive measures, and also written text. No feature extraction is conducted as due to the fact that if the written text is about the student's goals and ambitions, and therefore they might reveal identifiable information. Therefore, we didn't conduct feature extraction analysis. We won't conduct feature extraction analysis in this research study. Inferential statistical analysis involved Pearson or correlation and ANCOVA. And the result of this process, even though we don't have the final results, is that the PEM workflow is flexible in that it doesn't just enable assessment of personality and emotions, but also the relationship between personality and other variables and emotions and other important variables. Finally, we have planned a PEM large-scale study that will be conducted in the coming months, which will involve a participant pool of 150 to 200 participants. Data collection will consist of a basic emotion questionnaire, Big 5 ASCII scale, video and audio. The audio will then be transcribed to enable textual analysis. Participants will answer the Big 5 ASCII scale, watch a series of motion provocative film clips, have their facial expressions recorded whilst watching the film clips, self-report their emotional experiences after each film clip, and then finally describe their experience with each film clip for 1 minute out loud, which will be recorded. Feature extraction would then therefore involve each of the modalities, effective computing modalities, facial expression analysis, semantic analysis, and effective prosody. Inferential statistical analysis will involve Pearson or to generate personality emotion mappings across each modality, but also the utilization of mutual information analysis to assess linear and nonlinear regression in generating accurate personality emotion models. The results of this study will be assessment of the validity of the multimodal based approach provided by PEM, and also the evaluation of open source software for automatic feature extraction per respective modality. In terms of potential applications, we argue that the PEM workflow can be utilized as a method for personality assessment. So personality assessment is traditionally reliant on questionnaire-based methodologies. However, questionnaire-based methodologies come with a number of flaws, which we argue can be counteracted by a PEM-based methodological approach. So questionnaire-based methodological approaches offer static snapshot measures of personality, and they assess personality at a specific time and place when the person took the questionnaire. This means that personality assessment can be influenced by factors not related or only tangentially related to personality, such as the person's self-esteem on that day, whether they slept well the night before, or whether they have had a good or bad day in general. In contrast, PEM-based methodological approaches enables more holistic forms of data collection through the use of video capturing, written or transcribed text, and audio recordings, and through the utilization of effective computing methodologies. Questionnaire-based methodological approaches suffer from artifact effects, where the more time a person takes the same personality questionnaire, the less accurate and valid the results become. In contrast, PEM-based methodological approaches enables repeated assessment. So the reason for this is that with questionnaire-based methodological approaches, the more time a person repeats the questionnaire, the more conscious they become of their results, and this can bias any subsequent further results. In contrast, PEM-based methodological approaches enables passive forms of data collection, and that participants don't need to alter their day-to-day behaviour or to consciously express their personality traits in order for it to be assessed, and therefore it's more resistant to artifact effects. PEM-based methodological approach. Additionally, questionnaire-based methodological approaches come with a number of restrictions. For example, for participant recruitment, there's going to be time constraints, the amount of time needed for participants to complete a questionnaire, which can often take for some personality questionnaires, 45 to 60 minutes. or even short scale but valid questionnaires such as the Big Five answer scale can still take 20 minutes to complete. Additionally, there's also cognitive requirements in terms of completing the personality questionnaire, which can limit the number of potential participants from the research pool. To answer a personality questionnaire accurately requires a relatively high level of verbal fluency. In contrast, pun-based methodological approaches are scalable and automatic in that they enable automatic assessment of personality. They enable passive forms of data collection, so participants don't need to go out of their way to enable data collection, and they're conclusive in that there are not cognitive requirements of verbal fluency enabled for a pen-based methodological approach to be utilized. So in terms of conclusion, PEM enables scalable personality emotion modeling via multiple modalities. PEM workflow is an end-to-end tool for generating mappings between personality and emotions at scale. In terms of future work, we aim to assess or to generate state-to-state mappings across modalities to assess where they're consistent and where they're inconsistent. To compare open source software per modality to assess which open source software and effective computing methodologies work best for extracting relevant basic emotions. And also to assess the value of linear and nonlinear models in mapping the relationship between personality and emotions across each respective modality. So that concludes my talk for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact either myself or my colleagues and PhD supervisors at the email address linked here. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to your questions.